Hi, my name is Brooke Michael, and I'm one of the advisors here at the University of Michigan Flint in the School of Nursing. And today we're going to go over our presentation about our RN to DNP with MSN program. So this program, how does the RN to DNP with MSN program work? So this is for my high achieving associate's degree nurse, which means like a 3.5 overall GPA or better, that wants to skip over the BSN and go straight to a nurse practitioner program. If you already hold your BSN, this is not the correct webinar for you. You want to watch our BSN with MSN to DNP program webinar. So this is for the associate's degree nurse skipping over the BSN. There are some courses that are prerequisites that you must complete prior to starting into the MSN and DNP curriculum. We're going to talk about those on the next couple of slides. Once you're admitted as an RN to DNP with MSN student, you have up to 2 years to complete those prerequisite classes, and then you can't start into that MSN or DNP curriculum until you've completed those prerequisite classes. The main start date each year is a fall semester. So in an ideal world, you would try to finish those prerequisites up in order to start directly into the program in a fall semester. There is a winter start, but fall is our on-cycle semester. Every student is admitted like they're going on to the DNP, so there's not a secondary application to get into the DNP program, but there is an opportunity to stop out at the MSN portion. Just have your MSN and not your DNP, and then also set for your nurse practitioner exam at the end of the MSN portion. Once you complete the MSN portion, you can sit, as I just mentioned, for your nurse practitioner exam, and then you can make that decision if you want to continue on to the DNP or just stop at your education at that point. But one thing you need to keep in mind is that throughout this program, there is an opportunity to stop out at the MSN or continue on to the DNP, but there is no point in which you can stop out and get your BSN. So please keep that in mind. BSNs require specific requirements like general education and overall total credit hours that are not met with this program. So if you think that you will need your BSN for future employment, you may want to look at the RN to BSN program with early assurance into the MSN and DNP program. So this is the different tracks that we offer in our MSN and DNP, all of which are nurse practitioner tracks. We have the acute care track, which does have some work experience requirements, and we will go over those in just a minute. Again, only the acute care track has work experience requirements. The other 3 tracks do not, but all of the tracks require those prerequisite classes we talked about and requirements. The adult general primary care nurse practitioner, we have the family nurse practitioner, and the psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. So here are those prerequisite classes that must be completed before you can start into a graduate level course. So these prerequisite classes can be taken at your own pace. They are offered every semester online, and all of the classes between 100 and 400 level can be offered in a 7-week or 14-week format. Now, keep in mind that a lot of times students do transfer in some of these classes. You can transfer in English 112, which is common. Most students take that as part of their associate's degree program. And if not, it is a class that they maybe took at their community college. We also have legal and moral decision making, NSC 180. That class often transfers in from the community college. There's about a dozen in the state that have that class available. So that could have also potentially transferred in. But then the rest of the classes, nursing 300, 307, 316, 369, and 412, those do not traditionally transfer in from the community college because they're a 300 to 400 level class. Those would only be taught traditionally at a university. So if you started another RN to BSN program, there's a chance maybe that you took these classes and could transfer them in. We would just have to evaluate the syllabus to see if it's an exact equivalent or not. Otherwise, you will more than likely be taking these classes with us. And again, these classes need to have a B or better, and they must be completed before you can start into graduate programs. So let's talk about why choose the University of Michigan Flint for your MSN and DNP program. So first off, our classes are offered in an online format. And we do have highly trained faculty that are oftentimes working with students outside of regular hours. They understand that you have outside obligations, whether it's work or family, and that education isn't always just your only priority at the time. So they try to be flexible. We also have faculty that work on a lot of research opportunities. A lot of our faculty actually end up publishing with our students. It is a University of Michigan degree in education, which is widely recognized and respected for the quality of its graduates. So no matter if you're working in the state of Michigan or across the United States, people know that if you have that University of Michigan degree, that comes with that high quality of education. You didn't just buy your diploma, you learned and improved your practice. We are accredited by the CCNE, which is kind of just that stamp of approval of showing that it is a quality education. And upon completing your MSN, you do have the opportunity to set for your nurse practitioner exam. And we do have an 86 to 100% pass test rate on the first time. And finally, we do have a clinical coordinator who will help you find clinical placement in your area. So let's go over some common questions that a lot of students have. So first off, students want to know, when can I start? So one opportunity we have for students is that if you wanted to get a jump start on those prerequisite classes, you can admit as an RN to BSN student. As I mentioned before, those prerequisite classes are required for both the RN to DNP prerequisites along with the required courses in the RN to BSN program. So you can go ahead and admit as an RN to BSN student just because of a couple of reasons. One, you can admit any semester, so you can get admitted sooner than sometimes the RN to DNP. It gives you that jump start, and it allows us to look over your classes to see what transferred in and what you still need. And traditionally, we can admit you quicker with this. You can traditionally be admitted within a week once we receive all your transcripts. One thing to keep in mind, though, there is no guarantee that if you admit as an RN to BSN student and start early in those prereqs that you will have been admitted as an RN to DNP student. This is just an opportunity or an option for students, like I said, to get a jump start. And it's especially a good opportunity and option for students that aren't sure if they want to do the RN to BSN or the RN to DNP, or if they are one of those students that are like, yeah, I'd really like the RN to DNP, but my backup plan was the RN to BSN program with you guys anyway. So that's another great option. You will start into your MSN and DNP curriculum again after you completed all those 100 to 400 level classes. The goal is to finish those prerequisite classes up by the fall start, but we do have a winter off cycle, but it doesn't speed up graduation. So keep that in mind. Is the degree a University of Michigan degree? We already talked about that. And yes, it is the same diploma as if you went to Ann Arbor, Dearborn, or Flint. It's signed by the same regents and you have the same alumni benefits. Do I need to take the GRE? Nope, we do not require the GRE for any of our tracks. Will I get a BSN partway through? We already touched on that, but we're going to make sure and bring it home and tell you no. There is no time in which you can stop out and get your BSN. You can stop out and get your MSN or continue on to the DNP once you've completed all that coursework, but keep in mind there is not an opportunity to get your BSN. So if that's a thought you want to have that BSN, then you want to do RN to BSN. Do I have to come to Flint during those prerequisite classes? No, you do not have to come to the Flint campus. But once you start into graduate level curriculum, a 500 level and above, then you will come to Flint about 3 to 5 times a year, not a semester, but a year. Can I go part-time? Yes. When you apply, you will pick either a part-time or a full-time curriculum. So how long does it take? So for those prerequisite courses, you have up to 2 years to complete them, but they can be completed in as little as 2 semesters if you want to go full time. Now I'm going to start talking about how long does it take for the graduate level curriculum. Now keep in mind 2 factors. First off, I'm talking about a fall start. And second off, I'm talking about after you complete the prereqs. We do not add the prerequisites into this time frame because the prereqs can be completed as fast or slow as you want. So depending on how fast or slow you do the prereqs, this is how long it will take for the MSN. As a part-time student, it takes you 2 years and 8 months after you completed the prerequisites, from the day you start into a 500 level course and beyond, a part-time student takes 2 years, 8 months. A full-time student takes 1 year and 8 months to get to the MSN. For the DNP, it is only 1 additional year. So again, from the day you start into grad programs till the day you graduate with the DNP is 3 years and 8 months. And as you can see, it's just 1 more year after the MSN, or 2 years, 8 months for the full-time students. Again, 1 more year after the MSN. Again, if you start in winter semester, it will lighten the load up, but it will not speed up your graduation. These timeframes are only based on a fall start into grad programs, not a fall start into the prereqs, a fall start into grad programs. Can I work full time? So during those prereqs, yes, because you can do those classes as fast or slow as you want. But once you start into graduate programs, it depends if you're a full-time or part-time student. We do not recommend going full-time and trying to work full-time. There is not enough hours in the week to really do a full-time curriculum nurse practitioner program and work full-time. We do not regulate this, but this is our recommendation. How many classes do I take each semester? During those prereqs classes, you go as fast or slow as you want. But once you start into graduate program, part-time is an average of 2 classes a semester, and a full-time student is an average of 3 to 4 classes a semester. Can I take time off? Yes, during the prerequisite classes, because again, they're offered every semester, even offered every 7 weeks. Not suggested once you start into grad programs. The reason is that this is a cohorted program, which means the content or the curriculum is built upon each other. So you need the first class to be successful, in the second class to be successful, in the third class, etc. So if you take a semester off, these classes are only offered a few times a year. So it could delay your graduation up to a year. So we don't recommend stopping out unless you really need to, because it can delay your graduation up to a year. Will we help with clinical placements in the MSN and DNP? Yes. We have students doing clinical placements in their own communities. We will require you to take an active process in the clinical site finding those. So don't just think, oh, they got a clinical coordinator, I don't have to do anything. First off, we always recommend that you find your own clinical placement. And the reason is that you know your community better than we do. We're trying to find complete placements all around the state, let alone all around the United States. So you know who you're going to work best with, you know the hospital location that you would like to be at, you know the floors, you know all of that better than we do, and you know who's going to work with your schedule better than us. So we always suggest starting to ask around and ask people to do preceptors or clinical placement. Traditionally, if they're willing to work with us, we're willing to work with them, and you can do it just about anywhere. But we will have a clinical coordinator who will help find clinical placement in your area. You will still be taking an active role in that. She's going to send you a list of places in your area. You might need to make a phone call, send an email, get something signed, something like that. So just keep that in mind. We definitely help you find clinical placement, but you still take an active role with us. So admissions requirements. For the RN to DNP with MSN, you do need your valid nursing license. So if you've not passed your nursing license yet, you can't apply just yet to this program. You do need a 3.5 GPA in your last 60 credits. If you don't have a total of 60 credits, let's say your ADM program was only 58 credits, we're just going to look at those 58 credits. If you have 100 credits, we're going to look at your last 60 because that's traditionally a good indicator of what your last educational experience was. You do need to complete, like I said before, all those prerequisite classes with a B or better. And now we're going to talk about the acute care track. So this is the requirements for all 4 tracks. Now we're going to talk about the work experience requirements on the acute care track only. So if you are not interested in acute care, ignore everything I'm saying. I can't say that enough. I don't know how many students email me later and say, well, I don't have this work experience, but I want to be a family nurse practitioner. This is not applicable to any track but the acute care. So for the acute care, you do need 1 year full-time experience as a registered nurse in a critical care unit. We're going to list out there what we consider critical care units and the experiences we'd like you to have. If you think your experience qualifies as critical care experience, but you don't see it listed there, you can email Julie. You'll see her email address at the bottom of this slide. Email Julie, and she will let you know if that counts as critical care experience or not. You also need ACLS and BLS certification. And finally, need to keep in mind that with this particular track, there are 2 clinical courses that must be completed in the state of Michigan. So if you live outside of the state, understand that you would have to have the ability to come into the state during those 2 classes to do the clinicals on the Michigan side. So let's talk about next steps. So the application process. So we do, as we talked about before, suggest applying as an RN to BSN student for those reasons we talked about on the last screen, so that we can do an official evaluation of your courses and talk about what you need, and then booking an appointment with us. And then for the RN to DNP application deadlines, fall start is a February 1st deadline for the early deadline, and then an April 1st for the final deadline. And for a winter start, it is an August 15th deadline. So how to apply to the RN to BSN program. Again, this is an optional step, but a suggested one. Again, it does not guarantee your spot in the RN to DNP program, so keep that in mind. The application is free. Again, why we recommend it. You can send in unofficial transcripts and be admitted. We do need a copy from every college and university you attended. So even if you think some of your classes are listed on somebody else's transcript, we still need a copy from each college and university attended, or even if you don't think those classes would count, still need a copy before we can admit you. But an unofficial copy, as long as it's legible, will work, and you can email it to that email address below or send officials into that physical address below. For applying to the RN to DNP program with MSN, it's the same application website. We just pick graduate programs from the drop-down menu instead of undergrad for the RN to BSN. Now, keep in mind that the graduate program application traditionally has a $55 application fee, but by attending or watching this webinar today, you will be given a Google form that you can fill out and get a waiver code. Now, that waiver code is only good for 1 week. So when you fill out that Google form and you get that waiver code, make sure you go ahead and apply within a week. Now, the other thing to keep in mind is that even if you're applying for a year out, go ahead and apply, and you can send all the other things in later date, but this gets you that application fee waived, so you don't have to pay $55, right? But the second thing to keep in mind is this is only good on our website. This is not good for nursing CAS. Do not fill out the nursing CAS application. First off, it needs more things than we need. Second off, it's not, the $55 application fee is only good for our application. So after you apply, these are all the things that you need to turn in by those different deadlines, depending on if you're a fall or winter start. I'm not going to read all of these to you because the slideshow is available to you. This information is on our website, and also after you apply, they'll start emailing you, telling you what you need to turn in. But one thing I want to point out is the goal statement. The goal statement, do not write a generic goal statement. Write a goal statement that speaks to each of those bullet points. There is a rubric that is given to faculty when they're given your goal statement to grade. When they grade it, each of those bullet points is given points. So if you skip over one of those bullet points, you lose all of those points on your goal statement. So for example, the last bullet point is research interests. If you don't speak at all to your research interests, then you will lose all the points for that specific bullet point. So make sure you speak to all of those bullet points. Once you're admitted as either an RN to BSN student or an RN to DNP student, you can book an appointment with us on our website. We offer face-to-face appointments in Flint, Lansing, and Port Huron, and then we offer phone and virtual appointments Monday through Friday with extended time slots on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. So this is the tuition and scholarships page. Tuition for those prerequisite classes, 1 to 400 level, is at the undergraduate cost, which is $542.50 per credit hour. And then the MSN and DNP curriculum is currently at $803.50 per credit hour. Keep in mind that if you take a full 2 years to do those prerequisite classes, the curriculum could change. Tuition typically changes in a fall term. It does not traditionally go up a ton, but it could go up like $50 a credit hour. So keep that in mind, that by the fall semester of 2025, the tuition would probably be different if it took you that long to get done with the prerequisite classes. These are different websites with scholarships and loan forgiveness information. Please read through those and see if these are applicable to any of you. And then finally, this is the last screen. This is just our contact information. For the prerequisite advising, I'm Brooke again. We have Tiffany, Jennifer, and Stephanie. You can meet with any of us via phone or virtual appointments, and then you'll see our locations also if you would like a face-to-face appointment. So that's the end of our presentation for the University of Michigan Flint's RN to DNP program. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out and email us. Otherwise, have a great rest of your day.